We're gonna have to take that shit.
Yeah.
I'm already not feeling it.
Talk to the people on YouTube, brother.
YouTube. Oh, welcome YouTube.
Yeah. Very unexpected.
Welcome.
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
Right. So
time for that weekend.
Yes. So today's topics we're discussing up front: women's roles in society today versus yesterday, meaning 2 generations ago. We'll say basically 1950s, 60s, so on and so forth. Second topic will be the benefits of weight training for women. Third topic will be fad diets versus traditional eating. So we wanted a woman's perspective from, we wanted a perspective of a woman, the perspective of a woman married as well, which is the reason why we had invited Sharita. She's a professional, she basically is a massage therapist for a living, obviously, and to a certain extent even works for herself. So she's very independent, but is also newly and happily married. So being that we don't have her input, we will start off the conversation, Danny and myself, and we'll be inviting live questions and even just comments in general that we'll feed off of.
And we'll answer the questions as best as we can.
Yeah, from a male perspective, I guess.
From knowledge.
Yeah. So for lack of better words, we're still looking for that female input.
Right.
To kind of have a friendly debate, I guess you call it. You never know where this is going to lead.
Hey, this is a sticky topic right now. We're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot right now.
You married still, I'm not.
Yeah,
so you shoot yourself in the foot. I'm not. I'm good, bro. So I guess to start it off, before we even get there, Jay, so we rolling on all 4 cylinders?
All 4.
Nice.
Mike's alive too? Mike's live too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, basically, keep going. So yeah, we wanted to, start it off by basically comparing, women of today who are obviously very independent versus, what was going on, let's say in the 50s and 60s when some of our parents were growing up, and our grandparents were raising them, or even prior to that, when our grandparents were coming up.
Right.
I found an interesting, and it was even not a shock to me, but it was just, very interesting to see the difference, in today's society, what young women aspire to be in comparison to what they did even back in the, just 40 years ago in the 70s. And I got a hold of an old yearbook at all of our old high school. Danny is an alumni of Central High School as well as myself. And there was a club back in, I think this yearbook was from the early 70s, maybe mid 70s. So you're talking somewhat within our lifetime. And there was a club in Central High School called Future Homemakers of America. Now, we laugh at that today because very few women, at least from what I see, aspire to be stay-at-home moms.
Right.
So, I kind of wanted, women's opinions as far as, what you think has spurred the change. Yeah.
Right.
From just, barely 40 years ago when, a high school, a young woman in high school was perfectly okay with saying, hey, I'm going to marry me, a nice young man, have me some kids, and I'm going to bake cookies and wear a goddamn apron for the rest of my life. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right. And that's what made them happy.
Now, what do you think has made the change? Because you have a working life. You guys share responsibilities as far as the kids, as far as making money. Chris work shit just as much as you do.
Yeah.
So
harder.
Yeah.
If not harder, because she plays a huge role to where she has to, cook dinner and maintain the household as well. I would cook. I would cook. No, I used to cook, but I don't cook anymore because she got me a little spoiled.
Okay.
But if if it was a perfect relationship, both sides of the party would pay a fair amount of maintaining the household, working at the same time. If you got kids is a huge factor as well. So if it was, a perfect relationship, everything will be, straightforward. But everything is, it's not like that. Either you got the wife working, 2 jobs, 3 jobs nowadays, and the husband stay at home, because the husband stay at home now too.
Shit, who?
Yeah.
I ain't seen that.
The husband stay at home.
Now listen.
Because of the wives. The wives are making an excessive amount of money.
Some women
wives-
are. Yeah, you got a wife that's a lawyer.
Yeah, well, that's where it's
You got a wife that's a doctor,
these
a
women,
superintendent of a school.
and
Did hell yeah.
that's where the evolving factor of these women are coming about from nowadays, because they're allowing these men that don't mind staying home and want to just take care of the house and be cook for the family and supporting it with the kids with the homeworks and everything else. They don't mind that.
Now that's perfectly fine. Now we'll be opening up the forum for questions on Instagram and Facebook in the next few minutes or so.
Wait a minute.
But right. But in the meantime, you guys can send those in. Jeff will actually take a peek at the cameras.
Send those questions in. We're answering as best as we can.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now, I'm about to potentially start some shit here.
Yeah, I know. Here we go.
All right. Now, yes. Now, yes, I do agree that yes, there are women out there that are making money,
right,
and that are making enough money to support a household, and some men are choosing to stay home.
Right.
But I do beg to differ and argue that what is necessarily wrong with a woman staying home? Or even if she does work less than the man and tend to the home more so than he does. And the reason why I say this is one of my biggest arguments nowadays is that trying to think of a way to say this without getting punched in the face next time I see some of these women on the street. But what is wrong with knowing your role? And I'm not saying that I'm talking about men and women. Right. Let's just call it what it is. Just because you're capable of doing something doesn't mean that you are best suited to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
For example, this might be a silly, example, but tigers are the most aquatic big cats you can find. They love water more than lions, more than leopards, anything. Oh. But it still ain't a goddamn fish.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
It's still not suited to do, in the water what the best suited animal for the water is suited to do. You understand? So the reason why I bring that up is, women are just generally more nurturing than men.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
They're better with dealing with the kids. They're better at multitasking. I say that all the time. Some.
We got a handful.
But you can't. No rule.
Majority.
No rule is absolute or all the time.
Right.
You understand? So the point that I'm getting at is that you can have. I always say most rules are 80%.
Yeah.
Right. The vast majority, or any one rule applies to the vast majority in the middle 80%. And then you have 10% on each side that are outliers.
Right.
On one end of the spectrum and on the other. But the vast majority of the time, why do you think the courts side with women when families split up? Because in general, women are better suited to take care of the children. Men are solitary creatures. You understand? We know that. Personal training. I always say 80% of our clients over the years have been women. That ain't by design. We're not advertising to women. It's because women generally are more open to getting help. And then the men that we train, think about it. The men that we train, they get in shape and they making their food. They got their shit set to the side, right? The women that we train, when they buy into it, everybody in the house more healthy.
Right.
Why? Because they're cooking for everyone. Men selfish. We boil our eggs, say the hell with everybody else. Y'all want McDonald's? Fuck it.
Majority of the men like.
You understand? So that makes women more nurturing and more suited to
take care of a powerful in the household.
Absolutely, they're more influential.
They have more control.
And that's been my biggest argument is what is wrong with every business? A family is a microcosm of a business. Okay. You may have, and I'm not saying this, let me preface my comments, ladies, by saying I'm not saying the man is always the CEO, but for the most part, we are the more dominant species. Let's just call it what it is. So in any business, you have a CEO. you have a treasury, you have accounting, bookkeeping, you might have whatever. The CEO is not the most important role, because guess what? If there ain't people fulfilling the other roles, then what the hell is he the CEO of?
Right.
So just because you're not necessarily considered what is, labeled as in charge, that or the head, that does not mean that your role is not important. And I think that nowadays women have lost sight of that, to a certain extent. Younger women, I would say. I've had a lot of these conversations with our female clients over these. You've been involved in some of them at boot camp. And a lot of times, younger women have lost sight of that. And there's other factors that weigh in as far as that's concerned as well.
The age.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the era in which people come up.
Yeah.
So. Jay, you see any questions that popped up back there?
Yeah, on Facebook Live, we have Aubrey Elise.
Okay.
She says, so if women are more nurturing than men for the most part, then they're needed in jobs like teaching where they're working with children, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think that? I've always said I didn't have my first male teacher until I was in like sixth grade, like junior high school.
Yeah,
the vast majority of teachers are women.
Yeah.
Until, think about this, there's a reason why most male teachers tend to teach the older grades, because we ain't got patience for no little bratty ass kids. Let's just call it what it is.
Careful.
We don't listen. This is no holds barred here. We don't have patience for little bratty ass kids. You want to know why? I used to joke and say this all the time. I consider myself to be one of the most hands-on dads that I know, right? Up until my kids got a certain, thank you, Jay, I appreciate it. Up until my kids got a certain age, I felt like I was like watching somebody else's little ass kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because dads are not, I'll hold them. I changed diapers. I did the bottle feed, all of that. You understand? But it's like, we don't come into play.
That's not your role.
Exactly. Like, let's just call it what it is, man. You sit
down with the kids. You can sit down with the kids and really go over the homework. Yeah, this is how we do when we look at it. Homework is done. All right, you did a good job.
All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed.
Right. My mom, they would take good time. They would go. I know this for a fact because my wife does. She goes, takes her time. She goes to every question. I'm like, damn, what is it? I don't know what's going on here. But she's just taking her time going over especially the math. I can't do it.
Don't even go there.
No.
The minute that they add letters to math, I'm like, fuck that.
That's another.
You got another question, Jay?
Yeah, from Instagram Live, we got Joey91884. He says, it's more of a statement. He says, I'm 5 years from my military retirement, and I'm going to embrace the stay-at-home dad life.
Right.
Wife's getting the baton, and she can bring.
Joe, you an exception to the rule, and yes, we're hating right now.
Yeah. I don't even know him.
Yes, we're hating right now.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Thank you for your service too, bro.
We'll let Joe do what he wants to do.
But I'll argue this as well. There's the flip side to it. Us men, our roles have substantially changed, or I will at least say the expectations of what it is to be a husband or a dad have changed drastically as well. I'll give you a funny story. One day when my daughters, they were real small at the time, I used to wash their hair and blow it out. Right. They had to be about maybe 3-4 years old.
You blew your daughter's hair out?
It was like wrestling. They'll tell you it was like the worst experience of their lives. They still talk about it to this day, right? So I think it probably scarred them. They might need therapy for this shit. But nevertheless, my mom walks in my house. She's on the phone with my grandfather at the time. And my grandfather was asking to talk to me. She says, Dad, he's going to have to call you back because he's washing the girl's hair and blow drying it. My grandfather goes, what the fuck is he doing that for? It's the truth. Because back with I just tell that story to show you the difference in what was expected of men 50 years ago, 60 years ago. That wasn't even a part of his thought process. Right. You understand? So, and then that's like as a dad, right? Why do you think the old saying is always soccer mom? You never hear no damn saying talking about soccer dads because dad was working. Historically speaking, mom was the one running around and handling all that shit. Exactly. I also beg to argue or beg to differ. And once again, this might rub some women the wrong way. We now all of a sudden, how can I say? I'm gonna just say it. We all of a sudden have to really give a shit about what y'all feel like, right? Now, so I'm just calling what it is. The reason why I say that is we have to be like part-time counselor. All right. I never my dad's parents, I watched other older relatives while I was younger as well. I don't remember my grandfather ever coming home and asking my grandmother how the hell her day went. And my grandfather was a really good guy. Like my dad's father, great guy, like one of the sweetest men you would have ever met. Right. I don't remember him ever asking my grandmother what her day was like with the kids or the grandkids.
He knew.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knew.
You know, like we got to come home now. We got to be your counselor. We got to be Dr. Phil. We got to ask how your day went and act like we care. No, like we really don't. There's a female client of ours. I'm not naming no names because we keep it like confidential. Yeah. You know, we were training her recently, right? Her husband just so happened to be a cop. So I got in this conversation with her about, you know, the dynamic between the two of them when he comes home from work or when they come home from work. And she's like, yeah, you know, sometimes I try to talk to him about my day and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, can I tell you something? She goes, yeah. I said, he really don't give a shit about how your day went. And it's not being selfish just as a one-way street. It's both ways. Right. I said, let me ask you a question. When the last time he came home and spoke to you about some cop shit? She couldn't even answer me. When's the last time he came home and spoke to you about a perp or an arrest or whatever case? You wanna know why? Because he talked to his coworkers about that. When he come home, he compartmentalizing that. He don't want to think about that shit. He coming home to you and y'all kids.
Take his mind at ease.
Exactly. Yeah. Who want to come home and work? That's why I'm sweet women. It's not that we being dickheads when we don't care about today. We don't even want to think about our day. Yeah. You understand? Like home is a safe haven. Right. Home is supposed to be easier than work. Home is supposed to be easier than anything that's going on outside of those doors. So if there's any, I mean, we're talking about, you know, women's role in society today versus yesterday and, you know, how that affects marriage. If there's any tip I can give women, young women, newlyweds, if there's anybody listening, make it easier for your man to come home than it is for him to be in the street. That is half your battle.
Everyone has to do it. You're gonna get a lot of comments on this because it goes both ways. And if you've been with a couple dirt bags and you did your part and they didn't listen, your effort. You put in the effort with the wrong people. You understand what I'm saying to you? Now, I hear that a lot of times when I tell women that shit. It's like, oh, well, I did A, B, and C. And he should make my life easier when I come home.
You dealing with the wrong guy. It's supposed to be a two-way street.
It's supposed to be a two-way street.
It's a damn two-way street. Yeah. You understand? I'm about to take this little water break.
Yeah, take your water break. But that's what women's society is today, has evolved from a non-working, stay-at-home mom that's just so used to just, you know, maintaining the household, keeping the house clean, putting dinner on the table when the husband come home, kids come home from school, everything's set for you, ready to go. To the dads, you know, coming home from a long day of work, and the moms coming home from a long day of work, which, you know, moms, like I know some people where, especially females, where they have really good jobs, and you know, their husbands have really good jobs, and the kids, you know, they come home, you know, the kids are almost raising themselves, but you know, that's another topic. Yeah. But you know, it's
well, that's an
even playing field.
That's a balancing act, absolutely. Yeah, that's a balancing act.
So it's tough. It's tough.
Along those lines, as far as like women having really good jobs, I'll tell you another funny story. We spoke about this not too long ago when we were coming up with topics to discuss up front, and I was working out east in the Hamptons this past summer. Just so happened to come across one of God knows how many bachelorette parties I had, you know, observed. I'll say, and this particular group of females, very friendly, you know, sweethearts, and they had, you know, ended up being over by my post for quite some time at the particular place I was working at. So they decided to pull out their cameras and go ask me, hey, we want some tips for marriage. Or, you know, making a lasting marriage, or making a marriage last. And I go, I don't know if y'all want me to give y'all those tips because my shit didn't work. So they go, well, you must have some good insight as far as what works, what doesn't. I said, okay, cool.
Right.
So I gave him 3 quick tips. First 2 were kind of funny. The first one I told him, you know, if you ever want to ask your husband a question and you want you need an absolute yes, make sure like his pants is down around his ankles, or you just helped him put his pants back on.
Yeah.
Guaranteed to get a yes. Credit card, keys to, you know, whatever car you might
want
to ball. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You want a new car? You want new jewelry?
Yeah. Number 2 was the last one I had given just recently, a couple minutes ago, was, you know, always, and this, I mean, seriously and sincerely, always make it easier for your man to come home than it is for him to deal with whatever he's dealing with in the street. Ladies, and the first thing I always get from women nowadays, sometimes that are so combative, I'm not saying all of y'all, is, well, what about, we know, right now we're discussing men. We discussed you guys, and we're going to obviously discuss you guys even further down the line today, as well as on other days. But whether women realize it or not, there are things that society and pressures that society puts on men that you will never understand. Okay. And in some cases, if you're dealing with an old school man that really prides himself on taking care of himself, his family, and those around him, he puts more pressure on himself than anything or anyone can ever put on him.
He might have a poker face on.
Exactly. You know, but make it easier for your man to come home and just make home a safe haven and like a sanctuary where he can just kick his feet up and everything is cool, you know. Last but not least, and this, I didn't even give this tip willingly. I was asked this question by one of the women in this particular bachelorette party. If men being married to a woman that makes substantially more money than he does, is that a problem? Or do men have a problem with that? And I told her, I said, one, let's take into consideration the term or the word man. Mm. That to me is as mean as it may sound, is an overused term nowadays, because we all become men at different times in our lives. There's no biological age that makes you a man. Okay, Danny became a man at a different point in his life than I did, and then Jay did, and so on and so forth. It's experience and mindset that is what makes you a man. Okay, so you might have some 30-year-old silly motherfuckers running around here that I'm a man, I'm this and that, but you can see by what they occupy themselves with and what they allow themselves to be bogged down with as far as obligating their time with. You can tell by their habits and what they've accomplished and or lack thereof in their lives as whether they're man or not. So I told her, I said, if you're dealing with a real man, okay, he will never have an issue with how much money you make. Right. Unless you make it a goddamn issue. No man wants to be castrated, have his balls removed from him. And what I mean by that is case in point. You get into an argument, there's always going to be an argument. No relationship is perfect, okay? And it escalates like sometimes it does, even in amazing relationships. The minute that you begin to utter the words like, I don't know why I fucking deal with you, I can handle this shit by myself, you're fucking up. You understand me? You have just fucked up the church's money. You just flipped the whole goddamn collection plate over. Simply because no man wants to hear, I don't need you. Mm. You understand that? You are ripping his testicles from his body. You might as well do that. And as soon as I said that to her, she got quiet as a damn church mouse. And I looked at her and said, I'm assuming that you probably guilty of this shit. Yep. And I asked her what she did for a living. She said she was either an electrical or mechanical engineer. So she told me she makes like well over $300,000 a year. He's making like $150, which a lot of these women that are probably listening on social media with, you know, $150,000 a year sound great to them. Yeah. But to her, he making less than half what she made. Yeah. You know, so yes, it's not a problem. I could be with goddamn Oprah Winfrey. Mm. Look at Stedman. Oprah worth $4 billion, Stedman worth $20 million. He a goddamn welfare case compared to her. But I've seen Oprah in interviews say that she let Stedman be the man. Right. you know, and that's that.
So
So
she's letting him play his role, you know,
and she plays hers.
and she plays hers.
You know, when she
Everyone has
home,
What role is that? Multi-billionaire.
Harpo Studio.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but yeah, you can't. So that we'll close that segment with that. Next coming up, we'll take a couple minute break here. I know we went over about 3-4 minutes. Jeff was telling me to shut up, but I ain't gonna listen.
Oh man, I didn't even see them.
You ain't see it?
Nah, I ain't
Shit,
see
you worse than me.
I didn't see them. And I'm supposed to be having
You
good
ain't even
peripheral
know.
vision. I can't see.
You ain't
shit.
see that punch coming.
I'm losing my vision.
Oh man. Next segment we have the benefits of weight training for women. So we'll take a couple minutes, get it together. You might want to take a water break.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Anybody got any questions? Yo, Jay, tell us if
if they have any questions,
Any statements
definitely.
anybody's
If
brought up?
anybody has any questions or statements,
See if we missed any because we were running our mouth.
I've been looking the whole time. Just people are just excited about the content. They're saying great content. I don't want to mess it up. Please forgive me. I think it's pronounced Alvidia.
Okay.
Alvidia Hyatt. She said she loves the content, but she thinks we would benefit from a woman on this with us.
Well, we had that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you missed that. We had Sharita scheduled. She couldn't make it due to work. So we absolutely.
But
and
feel
it's
free, ladies, to
yeah. That's what we said.
Definitely,
Yo,
yeah.
we'll take whatever
course.
suggestions, any questions, even if you 100%. Let's get this clear. We don't mind having opposing viewpoints. That's the reason why we wanted a woman here.
Right.
Where if I said some shit that was out of line, because once again, this is all about perspective. I don't know what it is to live life as a woman, obviously. So if I say something that a woman is like, hey, whoa, time out, pump the brakes, then we're 100% accepting of an opposing viewpoint. There's going to be topics we're going to touch on that's some real controversial shit, and we're going to have people here that I know for a fact is not going to agree with our viewpoints, and they're going to be, and it's going to be a heated debate. But part of what this show is about, a huge part of it, is being able to, one thing I think we've lost in society is being able to disagree as adults, but still, keeping it cordial and acting like adults. Everybody that doesn't agree with you isn't a hater. You understand? Like,
End of the day.
yeah, like you should be able to shake hands
Right.
and walk away and say whether you don't agree over politics, over police brutality, over race relations, over men versus women in society.
Whatever it is.
I don't give a shit what it is. It doesn't mean that you can no longer associate with that person. I know this may rub people the wrong way. I even see people, I'm quite sure everybody here sees it, on social media, around this time of year, when the election cycle rolls around, and whether people are for Trump or whoever, I see people on my Facebook that, this is helping me clean up my social media page and I'm deleting everybody. Listen, I get it. I can understand. But if you just want a world full of people that think like you, that makes you one of the most closed-minded people walking the face of the fucking earth.
Right.
I pride myself on keeping people around me who are willing to tell me, yo, Jamel, you're fucking up. Jamel, you're bugging out.
Yeah, point of views.
You understand? It keeps you from going off a cliff sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't want people like that. But get to the next topic.
Benefits of weight.
Yeah, benefits of weight training for women. First thing I'll say is,
well, let's start off with a question, so that way if they have a question,
this is exactly what I was talking about. See, I'm always ready to run my mouth. So Danny says, "Shut up."
Benefits of
Ask
weight
a
training
goddamn question.
for women, right? So why is it that women don't want to lift? Now we're asking y'all a question. Why is it that women are afraid to lift weights?
You know the answer to this shit, Danny. You heard it a million times.
But
you want them to
I
answer.
want them to answer it.
Gotcha.
So, we get a lot of responses where, well, then we're gonna look manly or real masculine or whatever the case. It's not the case. Not the case at all. So what is it? What is it that why women don't really lift weights? Why did you want to go to the gym, put makeup on before they go to the gym?
Don't go there. It's a whole other topic, Danny. Don't do that shit.
And then just run the treadmill.
Don't do that shit.
And just run the treadmill.
They're not running. They on the treadmill doing this shit. That's why they got the makeup on. Nobody puts makeup on to go to the gym to do real work. The hell you think this is?
I beg your pardon, sir. Somebody's doing real work. Somebody.
But
Any questions come up?
No, just comments. People, they're
But-
digging the content. Keep going.
that's
Ooh, you just moved the camera.
no.
Well, I'll say this.
Mm.
All right. Even though Danny want me to shut the hell up.
You heard him just now.
D.
One thing I will tell ladies is this, and this goes for men too. So this kind of a comment for men and women. Women more so than men, look at other women, more so than men look at other men, and say, "Oh, I want to look like her." You very rarely hear men say that. Now, I do think that it's because men sometimes have an ego issue and they don't want to admit they want to look like somebody else. But nevertheless,
That's more.
Yeah,
mainly
exactly.
the case.
what most women don't get is all of the women that you guys admire from an aesthetic perspective are all fucking lifting weights.
Yeah.
They're not going to the gym and jumping on treadmills and running until they're blue in the fucking
The
face.
women you want to look like are
All
lifting
lifting
weights.
weights.
Yeah.
Whether it's women that are Serena Williams' body,
Mm.
Jennifer Lopez,
Lift,
like all of these with Beyonce,
lift,
Jennifer Aniston, lifts
lift.
weight. All of these women are lifting weights.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
All of these women are lifting weights.
A lot of women, from what I know, go to the gym to burn fat. If anything, that's one of the main reasons that I think women go to the gym, just to burn fat. But where you burning, you're gonna burn the most calories. And correct me if I'm wrong, by lifting weights. Am I right?
Yes, the way that it generally works is this. Cardiovascular exercise is going to have you burn the most calories at that particular time.
Right.
What weight training does is traditional weight training. You do your sets of 10, 12 reps, 16 reps, and you take a break.
Right.
60 to 90 seconds for the most part. Then you go back, do the same thing, depending on whether you want to do 3, 4 sets or whatever. The extra muscle mass that you're gaining from doing the strength training burns more calories on a long-term basis.
Right.
Okay. To make a simple point of more muscle mass equals more calories burnt, 24 hours a day, that's the point. See, that's the big mistake people make. People think that burning calories is, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to run on this motherfucking treadmill till the goddamn belt pop until I burn 2,000 calories.
And you're good.
No,
Right.
you want your body burning calories and fat, ideally, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
The number one reason why men burn more calories and get better results at the gym at a quicker rate than women is because we carry more muscle mass. We've trained tons of men and women, husband and wives, in fact, and they'll be on the same workout regimen. Me or Danny show up to the house, they doing 3 sessions a week, 4 sessions a week, whatever it is. They're doing the same workout. They're on the same eating regimen. End of the first month, he done lost 22 pounds. She done lost 14 with the same work.
Right.
Big shouts to Aunt and Regina, because those are the numbers that I just shouted out.
Nice.
That shit was them a couple of years ago when they were training together. She was pissed. Regina was pissed. And, they both lost weight real quick, But Aunt was like, yo, he happy because he lost I think it was 23.1 pounds in the first month.
Or they were competing with it?
Yeah. And Regina was, she was like, oh, I can't wait to see what I lost. And she lost 14 and a half. And she was like, how did he lose? I'm like, he's a man.
Yeah.
But I'm on it, Jay. But to answer your question before we take this next question, ladies, you building muscle will get you, and it's never going to be exact, but that's going to put you a little closer on the totem pole towards the man side of burning more fat on a consistent basis. Question, Jay. Pull the question that you said.
The question comes from my mother.
Your mom?
Yeah.
Oh, Mama Shirley.
From mommy.
What's she gonna say? Tell me stop cursing so much?
No, but she did say, shh, and answer my question, Mel, with exclamations. But no, she asked how much weight should you start with? I guess as far as losing weight, or
you mean as far as a goal?
I guess, yeah.
Well, a good goal you know, and this all always gets on me and Danny's nerves. This might offend some people, but not that we really give a shit because we tell them to their faces. Your goal should be long term. It shouldn't be because a wedding is coming up. It shouldn't be because you're going on vacation and you're trying to get us or any other, you know, fitness professional to work a goddamn miracle. We ain't the Wizard of Oz. Shut up, Jay, because you know.
Sorry.
So up front, depending on how much weight you have to lose, if you're slightly overweight to a good amount of overweight, 2 pounds a week is a great goal.
I was gonna say
2 pounds a week, 1.5 pounds a week is a great goal. Yeah, you want to know why? Because if you're doing it for the long term, 1 pound a week, 52 goddamn pounds a year.
That's good.
You understand? Now, if you have a whole lot more weight to lose, the good thing on the thing that's working on your side is the more weight you have to lose, the easier it is to lose weight. So we've had clients that had 100-something pounds to lose.
Yeah.
Just by getting them up and getting them moving in general, taking them from being a couch potato to just walking around the block, doing moderate weight training. They lose 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds a week.
Now
I got clients y'all can message yourselves for references that'll tell you that shit.
She's saying for an older woman as well, like it's that.
Yeah, 1, 2 pounds a week. 3, maybe 3. Yeah, up front, the most weight you're gonna lose on a weekly basis is gonna be up front. You're shocking the body, and you got to doing shit that it hasn't been doing either recently or at all. So that initial shock is gonna be like, yo, the body's gonna be like, what the hell is going on?
Now, depending on your
Watch your mouth.
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Now, depending on the exercises that you're doing, you know, from burning calories and lifting to burn, you know, people put on muscle, and they
Muscle
they lose 1 pound a week or 2 pounds a week, but then again gain 4
muscle,
pounds.
yeah,
the
but
next week.
muscle don't build that goddamn fast.
Right.
Let me
Right.
tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I've heard that shit a million times over the last 10 years that I've been running this damn training business, or 9 years, whatever it's been. Okay, I'll get clients that are, you know, losing weight, you know, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. Women also, just to let y'all know, on average, and listen, we have an adult conversation here, so damn it, don't get all squirmy on me. On average, throughout the course of a month, women are gonna lose. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, women are gonna be losing weight 3 consecutive weeks. That 4th week, because your little friend come, you're gonna be a little bloated, and that's gonna throw your numbers off. But generally speaking, as long as you continue doing what you're doing, that following week, everything will even itself out. That's a fact. You know, women get a little bloated, they retain a little water, all that other shit. That kind of throws things off. But I've had people say to me, like, oh, they losing weight, and then they have 2 weeks where they'll gain some.
Right.
And I gained 3 pounds of muscle, 3 pounds a month. Stop. You ain't gain 3 pounds of muscle in 1 goddamn week. That don't happen. You can't even take steroids and gain goddamn 3 pounds of muscle.
You went out that weekend.
Oh, hell yeah.
And what happened?
You gained 3 pounds of Hennessy. You gained 3 pounds of Hennessy. Question, Jay.
It's not really a question. It's Crystal Lopez says,
Oh.
"Hi, Daddy."
Whoa, killer.
It says hyphen Maya.
That's the
With 2 little hearts.
What's up, Maya?
Okay, that's his daughter.
What's up, Maya?
Okay. I thought it was Crystal saying hi.
You know,
I was like, Daddy about to speed the show up. Like, Daddy gotta go. Poppy chulo in this motherfucker.
He said,
yeah, you know.
Look at
Well,
He's like, Daddy's like, well, you got it. You got it. Now, on a serious note, okay, because all of that cosmetic shit, ooh, damn, I just hit the microphone, is cute. One thing I'm famous for saying to clients, Danny says it, but in a nice way.
I'm the nicer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bad cop.
You know, I don't really give 2 shits about what my clients are trying to look like. Like, the goal of what you're trying to, my goal, I think any fitness professional's goal should be for you to be as healthy as you could possibly be. Now, with that, you're going to look better than you look now.
Right.
You understand? If you come to me or you come to anyone else, you come to Danny, you come to whoever, and you have issues with cholesterol, you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, you got high blood pressure, listen, if we get you to start eating right, eating consistently, which is a part of eating right, exercising and getting regular physical activity, and we get all of those numbers down or where they should be, you're automatically going to look better than you did when your shit was out of order. And I just had a client recently, same client I was talking about just previously, and she sat, not naming no name, she sat for 20 minutes during the consultation, showing me all these pictures. Question coming up about what she looked like back in the day and what she want to look like now. And I just sat there and let her ramble on. So I'm quiet. She looks at me and she goes, "Why are you so quiet? Like you ain't got nothing to say?" I said, "Yeah, but I don't know if you want to hear it." And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, personally, I don't give two shits about what you're trying to look like. I'm here to make sure we get this blood pressure under control.
Get you healthy.
We get you healthy. Now, in that process, you are absolutely going to look better than you look now."
Right.
And the reason why the reason why I emphasize that is because one thing that has become rampant is getting into fitness for all the wrong reasons nowadays. Okay, because it's cute, because it's popular, because you want to snap selfies and just belong to, hashtag gym life and all that bullshit. Okay, the goal should be a healthy quality of life and longevity. Question.
Mommy's back.
Oh God. No, I'm just joking. I tell you that.
Oh,
This is it right here.
She gonna get you for that one. But no, she said her question was how much weight to lift. She's trying to tone, but she's older, so she don't want to. She's trying to put all of it together. So the question is how much weight.
Take that, Wendy.
How much weight to tone with?
That's relative. That's a relative. Yeah,
It is because I don't know
what you lifting.
I don't know what she can
How
do.
you're lifting it. Yeah. If you're talking about for one, to basically start out, you need nothing more than your body weight is resistance. That's how I started. That's how my dad got me started with exercise.
Body weight.
I was crazy. I was always ready to run and go try to lift some weights as a young kid. Hurt myself doing dumb shit because I didn't know what I was doing. I was sneak trying to do it, while he was working.
Body weight.
When I was at his house. Yeah.
With the basics.
Yeah,
right?
and my dad was always big on calisthenics.
Right.
That's what I got started with.
What's calisthenics?
Well, the using your body weight as resistance,
right,
as far as exercising. You got to remember that as far as working out goes, nothing will ever beat the basics.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's an argument, not an argument, but it's a proven fact. And there's a book, several books have been written on it, but there was a book by Gunnar Peterson, who's a trainer to the stars. He's trained Jennifer Lopez and tons of people. He wrote a book stating that every single possible workout that you can do are all different variations of what they call a basic 13. There's 13 basic movements. Every single leg movement you perform to work the quadriceps and the glutes is a variation of a squat.
Right.
Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a modified version,
right,
be it a leg extension, be it a lunge, be it a step up. It's all
body weight.
What I'm saying is that a squat is something that you learn when you learn to use the bathroom when you sit your ass down. At one, that's a basic functional movement that everyone should learn. And in fact, I argue, well, even when we train kids, I tell them, if you need to learn how to squat with just your body weight, put your fingertips behind your head, open that chest up, keep that back flat. A good way to learn how to squat, stand maybe a foot, 6 inches away from a wall, facing the wall, fingertips behind your head, and squat down without your face or your nose smacking that wall.
There's several different ways you can squat.
Yeah,
right?
there's several different ways you can squat, but that's a good way to learn the basic form without allowing your chest to collapse into your knees.
Right.
Because if you can't squat properly with no extra weight, if you can't squat properly with just your body weight, you have no business putting a goddamn barbell on your neck to squat.
You shouldn't.
It's like you never taught your kid how to drive.
Squat your body weight, you need to go to the doctor.
Yeah. But it's like you never taught your kid how to drive, but you're gonna give him the keys to a goddamn Ferrari and tell him, go take a road trip. That's ridiculous. You gotta crawl before you walk.
Right.
You got to crawl before you walk. But what I was gonna get at also was the two, on a serious note, the two biggest single biggest reason, aside from building muscle to burn fat, which obviously, you know, goes towards health and wellness, you know, for women is weight training. Weight training builds bone density as well. Okay, helps to prevent osteoporosis. When you lift weights, it builds and fortifies your bones. Obviously, providing you're getting proper nutrition, you're getting a substantial or sufficient amount of vitamin D, calcium in your diet. Osteoporosis is huge in a lot of communities, in particular African American community and other minorities within our country. Osteoporosis runs rampant because a lot of people are lactose intolerant. So they don't drink a lot of milk, they don't take in a lot of calcium, and they make the mistake of not supplementing it and making sure they're getting it from other places.
Yeah.
Another way is making sure that you're getting a substantial amount or sufficient amount of strength training, because that will help to prevent osteoporosis later on. If during the prime of your life, you can get your bone density as a woman on a scale of 1 to 10 to, you know, an 8 or a 9, 10 preferably in a perfect world, then as you get older, menopause sets in, your body's not producing the same amount of hormones, which is what also contributes to osteoporosis. But, you know, you drop from an 8 or a 9 or a 10 down to maybe a 7. If you had a 7 for the rest of your life in your old age, great. But if during the prime of your life, when you're supposed to be your strongest, you on a scale of 1 to 10, your bone density is a 6 or 7, shit, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, you know.
Rough life.
Question, Jay.
Yeah, we got well, Crystal Cabrera has I guess kind of a question statement. She said, working out has become second nature, but I do legs every day in calisthenics and I have been looking too fit. She says,
Too what?
too fit.
She hasn't been looking.
She has been.
She has been.
Like,
Okay.
she needs to figure out a routine that will tone and not bulk.
Tone and not bulk.
Two part. There's another.
So just do that one.
Oh, she asked, what should I try?
How long has she been training? That's my first question. And also, if to get a little further into the topic, or to get a little more technical, I should say, when it comes to the results that you're getting from whatever regimen you're on, it's a multi-layered thing due to the fact that your genetics play a part, which is how your body responds to exercise, and the type of regimen that you're on. Are you lifting heavier weights? When I say heavier weights, that means weight that you can barely manage, you know,
She said
6
years, by the way. She's been training
Okay.
for years.
So if you're lifting weights that you're pushing hard to hit 6, 8, or 10 reps, 12 reps, not that she's going too heavy, that might be that might be what she's shooting for.
Oh.
Think about it. When we powerlifting,
Yeah.
we do our 5x5, 5x3, 5x1.
Yeah.
That's what we're shooting for.
Right.
But think about how big we get doing that shit.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you started out training with me, you were 155 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerlifting and all the crazy shit we do, you got to over 200 pounds, then you probably would have never thought in your life you'd be over 200 pounds.
I want to say 220. But
220. Okay, 220.
Oh, yeah. Just throw it in there real quick.
But the point I'm getting at is that that's what our regimen is. Now, when we ratchet up the intensity, we drop the weight, meaning the amount of weights, the LBs, the pounds that we're lifting.
Yeah, she said she went from 190 to 135.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
But what is she looking like? Does she feel like she's getting too muscular? Is that's my question to her.
She said, I do lighter weights, more reps. I used to do heavy with less reps.
Yeah, the lighter weights, and also once again, other factors, other things factoring in your genetics as well as what you're eating.
Right.
That's a whole nother. That's 70. Well, the percentage in which your eating plays in your results is genetic as well. There are some people, they're like, you know, modern day goddamn superheroes that cannot exercise a bad diet.
Yeah.
There are some, contrary to popular belief. They're like 2% of the population. But if you're doing lighter weights and heavier reps, lighter weights, higher reps, that usually is gonna lean you towards toning and not necessarily getting so bulky.
Oh, and Jason, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jason Rojo asked you, what do you mean several different ways you can squat? You touched on it a little earlier.
Oh, several ways you can squat. You got traditional barbell squats. You got Zerker squats.
Well, as far as is he talking about with weight or without weight?
I will wait for him.
Yeah. You have Zerker squats. You have Jefferson squats. You got front.
Because we're talking about just
You got front squats. No, Danny. If he's referring to what I think he's referring to, is Danny was saying there's several. What he meant was there's several different ways to learn how to squat.
Right.
You can put a barbell on your neck and then just squat down to your ass touch a bench. That's how I teach a lot of clients. But I do. That's when we're at the gym. When we're training at home, I prefer to stand somebody up against the wall, have them face the wall, be about 6 inches away, and squat down without letting that head and that nose touch the wall. Because then you're not leaning towards, you're not taking your center of gravity too far over your knees, which puts a lot of strain on the knees. You want to sit back and focus on pushing them heels to the midfoot through the ground.
And you got your legs as well, right? You can either have them too far.
Exactly.
You have more narrow. You hit, So there's several different ways you can do pulsating squats.
Exactly.
Without weight. So
pulsating squats are hell. Yeah. So Danny's 100% correct in that aspect as well. You can do a standard squat, feet roughly shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointed out, and that's going to hit, generally your quadriceps, your glutes, hamstrings as well. Question?
Yes, I got a question on Instagram from J0223. She said, in order to lose weight, should we do the treadmill first, then move to weights?
Well, losing, once again, there's several questions to that. Several answers to that. One, doing cardio, there's two ways to burn fat doing cardio that's the most effective. One is fasted cardio, which I've done prepping for shows. It's hell. I hate it, but it works.
Fasted cardio in the morning?
In the morning. So getting up in the morning, giving yourself enough time to get to the gym or wherever you're going to do your cardio, performing your cardio before you eat, because your body has nothing in it. You've gone to the bathroom probably once or twice during the night, and your body is butt ass naked on the inside. That's all I like to call it. Yeah. It's running on fumes. So the minute that you set foot on a treadmill, a Stairmaster, what have you, on a bike, you're basically just about burning fat calories from minute one. Traditionally speaking, the way that I was taught when I got certified was, on average, when you do cardio, let's say in the evening time, because the average person does not get up at 5 a.m. to do cardio with nothing in their system. On average, when you go and do cardio in the evening after you've eaten 2, 3, 4 times, you drink whatever, you're burning off glucose and all types of other shit for the first 15, 20 minutes, and you're not even touching on fat calories until like after, they say 17 minutes, but I always say 20. So to answer your question, if you're really looking to burn fat, don't forget the weight training. That's most important. But yes, cardio after, the next thing I was going to say, cardio after weight training, because you've already lifted for an hour or 90 minutes and you burnt all of those sugars and a lot of the stuff out of your system that you may have eaten for the day. Cardio after weight training has shown, depending on whether it's male or female, what your genetics are, all that stuff, it's shown to burn 20 to 50% more fat calories performing cardio after weight training as opposed to prior.
That's what we do now, right?
Yeah, that's currently a part of our regimen.
We got a question from Siobhan Danzy Kinlock. She said, "What a good."
What's going on,
Siobhan? She said, "What are good ways to maintain your weight?"
Good ways to maintain your weight. Good ways to maintain your weight. That actually takes us into the next topic.
If she wants to hold up, and then we go to the next topic.
We'll go right to the next topic. We'll go right to the next topic. Good ways to maintain your weight. No fad diets.
Yeah, on
Siobhan, give us 2 seconds. We're gonna get to your question next. Who's next?
She's on Instagram Live. Her name is Yarrow.
Oh, Yarrow.
Yeah.
What's going on, girl?
She said tips on what to do when you can't get under a certain weight. I'm stuck. She said
she plateaued, basically.
Said even though you're eating right and doing the right thing, and she's working out at least 3 times a week.
Okay. Well, that's also a multi-layered question and answer. When people say eating right is not just one thing. Eating right is not just, oh, I'm eating my vegetables and my fruit.
Mm.
How much of it are you eating?
Right.
How often are you eating?
Portion.
What times are you eating?
Portion size.
What other groups of foods or food groups are you getting throughout the course of the day?
Right.
When it comes to eating right,
I guess this goes into Siobhan's question.
it does.
as well,
Yeah,
right?
it
As
kind of
far
does.
as
Well,
how to maintain
we'll start with
it.
this and then we'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
And if I go off on a tangent, remind me to get back to this one.
Yeah.
Or to
I will.
survive. Shut up. But yes, eating right is I've seen tons of people that think they're eating right and they're not. That's the truth.
What?
Yeah, man behind the
What?
camera was one of them. When I first started training him, people think, listen, if you're not eating breakfast, you're not eating right.
And then you're wondering why you plateaued.
Yeah. If you're not eating breakfast, you're not eating right. Okay.
Not
That
eating
goes
breakfast,
into,
you're
like
not
I
eating
said,
right.
one of the next topics. If you're not eating consistently throughout the day, you're not eating right. If each meal does not consist of a protein, a healthy starch, a fruit or a vegetable, you're not eating right.
I think what people get confused with is,
If you're not to cut you off, if
Yeah.
you're not drinking enough water, that's part of your diet. Anything that you're putting into your mouth to consume, that is part of your eating habits. That's part of what you're doing. And if you're one big mistake people make is drinking too much goddamn juice or soda. I've seen people with my own 2 eyes drink half the amount of calories that they're supposed to consume for the day. That means that average man's supposed to take in 2,500, 3,000 calories. Average woman about 1,800 to 2,000 or 1,500 to 2,000, depending on her size, genetic makeup, her activity level. If you're drinking 1,000 calories worth of goddamn soda and juice, you're fucked. Because you haven't even had any food yet. You understand that?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
why I've had people stop drinking soda, lose 20 pounds in a month and a half.
I mean,
5 cans of soda a day is 1,000 calories.
You can do-
A can of soda, 200 calories.
You can do as much crunches as you want.
If you got a layer of fat over that shit,
You can do as much crunches as you want. It's there,
Yeah.
but it's covered up.
yeah.
You know, it's
Also, one thing
Are
we
you-
have to
you say you-
remember.
No.
Also, one thing we have to remember as well is,
I eat
and
good.
this is going to be a sensitive topic, but I'm not going to elaborate on it. Food is very cultural.
that's what you beat the ass.
Okay, food is very cultural, and what some people consider eating healthy has a lot to do with their culture.
Right.
Okay, when I was growing, every time I do a consultation, I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is not being biased. This is just call it what it is, because I've said this shit to people of these nationalities straight to their faces. All black people fry shit every fucking thing. Okay, they'll fry the goddamn oink to a pig if they could get a hold of it. Asians tend to be amongst the healthiest. Okay, most Hispanics will eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you let them. A lot of starches, and most Italians are starch heavy as well.
Pasta.
Bread, pasta. So with that being said, when you ask certain people, do they think they eat healthy? That answer is going to be relative depending on where
Right.
they're from and what. If
Right.
you're taught growing up, because your mom, your grandma, your aunts, and your aunties and all that shit made this food, and they taught you this is what eating good is.
Yep.
You telling me I'm eating good? Well, goddamn it, yellow rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is not eating good.
Yellow rice.
I'm not saying it to be biased. Black people too.
Yeah.
If you eating fried eggs and fried chicken and fried fish and fried pig feet, you're not eating right.
Yeah.
I understand that's what is at the goddamn, family reunion every year.
No.
In fact, it's what they serve at funerals. Matter of fact, I was watching the Breakfast Club with Chris Rock. Was a few months ago or last year sometime. He said, yo, ain't it ironic that when you go to a black funeral, after the funeral, they serve you the same food that put that motherfucker in the casket? Yo, that's crazy when you think about it.
That's good.
That's crazy when you think about it. So when you say, and I'm not, putting this on you, Yarrow, I'm just saying in general, some people think that they're eating right when they're not.
Right.
In fact, I'll tell you another
But if you're eating right and a lot of it, isn't that the same thing as?
Nah, but here's another misconception. I walk to people's houses and they say, yeah, we don't really eat bad at all. We never eat out. Okay, but I'm looking at everybody in the house and everybody's pretty goddamn big. Not saying nothing bad about nobody. This is just a reality that I've walked into more times than I can count, right? Anybody that knows anything about the body, barring any medical condition, like an underactive thyroid, okay, or something's wrong with your metabolism on an internal basis, it takes a lot of goddamn calories to maintain a big body.
Right.
Whether you're talking about muscle or fat, okay, everybody has a basic or basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories it takes to maintain the weight that you're currently walking around at. You can't tell me you 300 something pounds and you a woman or even a man and I don't really eat bad. No bullshit. You eating a lot of something. Okay, and if not, you're drinking a lot of something.
Right.
People, I've seen people say, I only eat once or twice a day. But if every single time me or Danny take a sip of water, you're drinking soda, you drinking about 2,000 calories worth of goddamn soda every day. So if you just eat 1,500 calories after that, you at 3,500 calories right there. Okay, so the point I was getting at was as far as eating right. I know people who think that they eat good because they're not eating out. Well, guess what? If everything you buy in the house is processed and TV dinners and you frying it, then you might as well go to McDonald's.
Might as well.
You might as well order pizza.
You got the dollar menu.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If your kids are eating TV dinners, you know how much sodium is in that shit?
Yeah.
You know how much salt is in that?
It's bad. It's bad.
You know, like people.
But they say, well, I'm not gonna eat right, but you know, a small portion of it, you know, is not bad. No, it's
not true.
It's not true. Good. It's not good.
It's not true. You know, but to get to finish off with Yarrow's question, which is consistency is key. There has to be something that's missing in the equation for you to be stuck. Maybe you need to change your regimen up. Maybe you're doing the same thing. Danny can tell you, we don't stick with no one regimen for any given amount of time. Anything more than 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks, we changing it.
We always shock.
We changing the rep range. We're changing the type of cardio we do. I'll sit and we'll talk about, let's eat something different.
Yeah.
So you got to change up whatever it is you're doing, and I'm quite sure you'll be able to find
what you're looking for.
Yeah, what you're looking for. Wait, give me 2 seconds, John. I know we might be going a little over.
Yeah. To
get to Siobhan, as far as maintaining, just basically continue what got you there. Big shouts to Siobhan. One, she's had amazing results. She's lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds probably recently. I've seen the pics. Siobhan, has trained off and on with me throughout the course of the years. It's been some time, but she's definitely lost a good amount of weight. So congratulations to you with that.
Good job.
And being a mom of 2 beautiful daughters and a husband,
nice.
to a goddamn transformer the size of his ass. Yeah, but yes, just continue on what you're doing. And always remember that anytime you see a change, that's why it's so important to be mindful of your regimen, what you're eating, because any given thing can throw things off.
Right.
There's times we'll go to the gym. When was it? Last week before? We had just gotten back because this past summer and spring we were crazy busy. So me and Danny walk in the gym and we were doing legs last week. So Danny goes, my knees are aching. Why?
Still hurt?
Exactly. Now we started off and went balls to the wall right back in the gym, and we were doing this gauntlet that we set up on the turf at our gym where we pushed this heavy ass sled. Doing that heavy ass sled right back, and the amount of weight that we had on it was insane. So what did that tell me? As soon as he said, our knees are aching, I'm like, okay, what did we do recently that we didn't do last week?
Right.
And all you got to do is play process of elimination. So point I'm getting at with you, Siobhan, is, just stay with what you're doing. And if, let's say, you feel like you're losing too much weight, then being mindful of what you're eating, you can turn around and maybe add a little more calories in the following week. If you don't think you're losing enough weight, then maybe cut your starches at nighttime. That's one thing that I tell people all the time. I do that when I'm trimming up, is I cut starches and when I'm close to the bedtime, because your body don't need it. You know, you ain't running no goddamn marathons in your sleep. You know, just keep it simple. And I might do a very small amount of starches. Sometimes right before bed, I'll just have a protein and a veggie. You know.
So a cold beer.
Just shut up. I ain't saying a damn thing about no cold beer.
That's happening.
What other questions you had? You said there was another question.
One more
you didn't
question.
get.
A young lady asked, "What's a good breakfast? What's a good breakfast?"
A good breakfast. A good breakfast.
Fruits.
Well, not just fruit, but not just a good breakfast. A good meal consists of, which I mentioned earlier, a healthy protein, a healthy starch, a fruit or a vegetable. That should literally be the format for almost all of your meals. Now, when it comes to the portions, one of the biggest issues that we have in America is our dinner plates are too goddamn big. There's a million studies out there that will show you that dinner plates since 1950 have increased by like 20 or 30% in size. No bullshit.
No,
That's great.
You know,
Yeah,
I've had friends.
Yeah.
I've had friends of mine who have family from other countries or they're native from other countries, whether it be Jamaica, Haiti, Europe, what have you. And one thing that they're surprised about is, one, the amount of food that we consume in one sitting, and two, the size of our dinner plates. Okay, so when you are formulating your meals, one of the best things you can do is, one, eat off of a plate that's smaller than the biggest damn plate that you have in your house. Okay. The next thing you do is, if you take a whole dinner plate, perfect circle, you cut it in half. Half of that should represent the amount of protein that you're taking in that one meal or any given meal. The other half you cut in half again. So now you have 2/4 on the other side. One should be starches, your brown rice, your sweet potatoes, your red potatoes, quinoa, oatmeal for breakfast, what have you. And the other one should be a fruit or a vegetable. I like to have fruit with my breakfast. Then, a general basic, eating plan for the day. I always suggest eggs for breakfast. Eggs is the best damn protein you can get.
The yellows and the whites, or what?
The yellows are good as well. They have healthy nutrients in them. Also, if you are genetically predisposed to having high cholesterol, you might want to cut back on them or totally eliminate it. Secondly, so as far as breakfast, ladies, 1 or 2 egg whites, quarter of a cup of oatmeal measured dry, and a piece of fruit is an ideal breakfast. After that, I always say, I like to have meals most of the time throughout the course of the day. Every once in a while, depending on what my regimen is, if I'm trying to, trim up, I'll substitute a meal for a snack, which would be a handful of almonds and a piece of fruit or some sun-dried cherries or something like that. Then, my third meal will be a full meal. Fourth meal would be a full meal. Or if I'm trying to trim up once again, I have a handful of almonds, some pistachios maybe, and another piece of fruit. So that allows me to get with that formula that I just mentioned. If I'm having egg whites, oatmeal, piece of fruit, some fruit and some nuts, which are healthy fats and protein, then let's say third meal is some grilled chicken, 6 to 8 ounces of grilled chicken, some string beans and brown rice. Next meal is piece of fruit and some nuts. You see the format? You see I'm getting a fresh influx of fresh fruits and vegetables every single meal.
Somebody wants to know what Mommy's back. She said, what if gluten is your enemy? And we have another question. She asked, what's a typical meal? This question for you, Danny. What's a typical meal Danny has throughout the day?
A typical meal I have throughout the day?
Yeah.
Danny got a fast metabolism.
Well,
you can't ask me.
I'll be the first to tell you I'm a bad example at this because keep it 100. Fast metabolism is one. I eat whatever I want
and still maintain
my weight.
Oh, listen to him showing off.
He's one of the few.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's one of the few.
I can't.
People don't understand that. When you have when you have a basic, you know,
I see you, boy.
when you understand up front that there's three basic body types. You have ectomorphs, you have mesomorphs, you have endomorphs. Ectomorphs are the tall, lean, you know, people that you see that can literally almost eat whatever the hell they want. They have smaller joints mostly, and they have extremely long limbs. All right. Secondly, you have mesomorphs, which tend to be the more athletic types that, you know, have a skinny waist, have more of a V shape, put on muscle very easily, and still maintain somewhat of a fast metabolism. But they are, you know, generally bigger and more massive than ectomorphs. Then you have endomorphs that are those are the brutes of the human world, where they're just naturally strong and they put on a lot of weight very easily, but they tend to be a little pudgy around the midsection as well. They're not very lean, but they have very thick joints, you know.
That's wow.
Yeah, your body type determines what type of eating your body can tolerate and still have a certain look. Danny, even though he looks like a mesomorph right now because he has broad ass shoulders, is more naturally an ectomorph, because if you saw pictures of him before he started training, he was very, very thin.
With a big
And
head.
had very like a bobblehead,
Big ass
like a
head.
Puerto Rican bobblehead.
I had to feel that shit
You
out.
know, and he has long arms for his height. You know, so him putting on muscle doesn't change that. His body type is still an ectomorph. That's what he is naturally. Now, mesomorphs are somewhere in the middle. I'm more likely a mesomorph, maybe kind of endomorphish, but more mesomorph, where if I'm eating what I'm supposed to be eating and I'm getting a good amount of cardio 3, maybe 4 days a week, I'll drop weight like that. But if I'm just lifting, when we power lifting and I'm not doing no cardio, my weight will jump real quick too.
Oh, and I'll drop the weight fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
I get rid of weight real fast.
yeah. So because you're an ectomorph, same thing. So it all depends on what you can tolerate. And that's why I always say, you know, ectomorphs tend to be able to tolerate. If you just look at athletes, don't take my word for it. Look at athletes. Look at people who tend to be ectomorphs. Cyclists. You have take Lance Armstrong, for example. I know he ain't got the best reputation, what have you, for numerous reasons, but Lance Armstrong and let's say Michael Phelps, if you ever read up on their regimen, not just the exercise, but what they ate, they said that Michael Phelps, or I think it was Lance Armstrong, when he was training for the Tour de France, he would eat the equivalent of what the average human being had for Thanksgiving. He would have 6 Thanksgiving dinners a day. Some wild shit.
My God.
It was like 12,000 calories he was consuming a day. But
That's my man.
he's an ectomorph.
Yo.
You understand? So he taking that in, it's going right out.
Yeah, coming right out.
It's going right out.
Going out quick. See, when we're powerlifting, my plate is probably the
A
size of
mountain.
this.
Yeah, it's
table.
a mountain. It's a mountain.
Yeah,
but that's what the regimen calls
Right.
for, because, you know, your body benefits taking in more calories and even having more, you know, cushion for the pushing, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
As far as you know, lifting extreme amounts of weight, which is what we do when we power lift. You know, so
But
that's basically it. I think that's it. Yeah.
That's the
We went about 10 minutes over, but yeah, I mean, it was good topics.
good talk.
Great material.
Good talk.
Yeah, great
Good
questions.
questions.
We appreciate y'all tuning in.
Come back
Next week we'll be back.
Yep.
We'll have
Mommy,
Big
we gonna-
Dave here. That's gonna be interesting.
Tell Mom we're gonna start off. We'll start off next week with her gluten question.
Oh yeah,
We'll
that's
start-
fine. And matter of fact, it'll almost be perfect because Dave would be.
Dave would
Dave
be,
actually
yeah.
has pretty good,
Perfect. So we
pretty good
What is-
insight.
What's the special? Who the people? Who's Dave?
Oh well,
You know
Dave.
what I'm
Well, Dave McIntyre. He's the guy that I've known Dave for 27 years. We played football growing up. He's a personal trainer. I like to call him a trainer to trainers.
You know my Dave.
You know what I'm saying? No, stupid. Dave McIntyre. He basically does a lot of show prepping. He does, you know, more so one-on-one training. The other trainers, Kelvin and his wife, that we're gonna try to get on. They not that they don't do one-on-one training, but they more so specialize if you see them on social media in group training.
Oh, nice.
But Dave is Dave gets people ready for shows. So like he's dead dead serious. Like if you
Here's to help me
sensitive,
with the V.
no,
He's on his shit.
nah, but if you sensitive, Dave ain't got for you. They would tell you, yo, you're fat. Get your shit
on that
together.
V. on that
V, baby.
I mean, lifetime with the work.
Yeah.
Now
So,
you can get there.
So yeah, so that's it. But yeah, so next week we'll have Dave on. We'll come up with some new topics. Maybe we can take some suggestions from you ladies and gents.
If you guys have any questions, just feel free to send messages throughout whenever you want, right? And you know, if you want to, any
Call Danny anytime.
hit Jamel up. Hit Jamel up on the IG or the Facebook.
Man.
Oh, no. Yeah, you can hit us both up or whenever. You have any questions, you know, we'll do our best to get the answer. If we can't get it ourselves, then we'll find someone that knows the answer.
Absolutely. Sometimes being the smartest guy in the room is knowing you ain't the smartest damn guy in the room.
That's it.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Set
Peace.
weights,
Protein shakes.
protein shakes.
Damn. Good shit.
You still on saying I'm stupid.
Nah.
That's more so for me. That's more so for me.
How about the which one is that one?
That's Facebook.
That one's
That's
on?
IG.
Is
That's
that
YouTube.
okay? So the YouTube is still rolling, Facebook still rolling.
You got the YouTube off.
Oh, the only one you gotta do manual is the IG.
Nah, you still gotta do Facebook.
Oh,
Facebook's still on too.
IG's off.
Got you. We'll get music next time.
Word. You shut it off? Did you post it?
Ending live video. Hold on.
Good, I want to pee.
Good shit. Good talk.
Word.
What time we supposed to end? 8:30? Or
8:30.
8:30?
Yeah. Yeah. He's, man.
I have a video will be available soon.
That's
I got that
good,
new
boy.
case. Yeah, that's why I got that new case, boy.
Man, can be prepared. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Daddy.
The video will be available soon.
Funny shit.
Yeah, we're gonna just over an hour, like an hour, 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'll just make sure to reel you back in. Yo, who?
You get high here, you turn the goddamn AC with it, bro.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that? Ask me that question.
What question?
That's you know Sharifa.
Yeah.
That's her.
Sharifa who?
But her name, she's
Muslim now.
yeah.
She married a Muslim.
So her name, that's what I said. A young lady asked this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you can't really get the
I
name.
wasn't gonna go Sharifa.
Yeah, so you can't say that, right?
What?
You can't say her name. Is that what it is?